here comes, I'm perhaps a bit full of issues from the community, but this is pretty much things they want to know, basically issues that they won't happen again. Because for instance, one of the things that really immerse people into a public game is, for instance, random encounters like random artillery. But if often in a clan match, and this has happened multiple times, that say someone just killed half the team, then the team respawns and all 6 get killed instantly by random artillery. And then that gives the feeling that, for instance, they didn't lose the next cap because they actually played bad. They lost the next cap because they got a chance percentage hit of that random artillery. Are there, like with more random encounters like say the ad guns and stuff like that, are there ways to make it things less random for the planning?
Well, so far we have no plans for random artillery in the new game mini-games, so...
well, that's a good thing from the planning.
So far. If we do add something like that, we could look at ways to disable it as a server setting. Some of the people on the team really liked the random artillery. I have mixed feelings about it. I kind of hated it because it always seemed to target me the most. But there was that element of tension, you know, like on a map like Stalingrad Kessel, when you were running around, when you heard that artillery coming, you know, you had the tension of, is it going to get me? You know, so it did add a certain element to the game.
Generally, there are forms of achievements, perks, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And generally, it's not that important for the clanning community what there is, but basically, how are there abilities for the clanning community to make things even? So, for instance, that a new clan with all new players can still play exactly even against a clan that played for a long time, for instance, by turning off the perks. If there is.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're considering for clan play. We're going to actually have to see. We're actually going to have to see the effects of the perks on the matches when we do the beta to see if that's going to be necessary, because the types of things that you're going to get from the ranking up of your character in the game are going to be pretty subtle. You know, the difference between a low-level player, you're not going to have a low-level player, for instance, that's aiming really terribly and super shaky, and then a high-level player that's like the Terminator.
No, but for instance, for a lot of clan players, even if something is not the cause of a loss, for instance, if there, I mean, look at how many people complain about lag and say, I lost because of the lag, I lost because of this, I lost because of that. That's every tiny bit that is in some way perhaps unequal on the teams. Always unsettle the opponent. I've gone pretty much through the basics of my questions. So
no question about features,
well,
huh? Wow, I can't believe that.
Well, I'll
certainly you gotta ask, you know, about
are there tanks in
aerial recon or you know any number of the hot button issues on the forums. Come on.
Well, Shannon, want to switch shares, perhaps?
Well, I basically want to ask, for example, the smokes. If you have seen smokes, you need to pick them up. You need to drop your your standard nades and pick the smokes up to be able to throw it. Will there be some sort of ability to mix the nades when you pick different nades up?
What we've done in the old game, what we did though, we had a very limited inventory system. In the new game, we actually have a encumbrance system. So by default, you spawn with, like, say, a weapon and a couple of grenades. But you can actually pick up another weapon. They'll just run slower. So you can carry a crap load of stuff, but you're going to run really slow. You can have like multiple types of grenades, explosives, a couple of weapons, a pistol, binoculars, you know, all this stuff. But you'll move really slow. You'll run out of stamina really quickly. Generally, you're not going to be able to carry more than 2 primary weapons. Like you might, if you're running around with a bolt action, if you see an SMG, you can pick it up. You're going to run slower, run out of stamina faster. You know, you might be able to pick up a machine gun and a submachine gun. You're going to run really slow. You probably can't pick up a light machine gun and a bolt action rifle. That crosses the level of being too heavy. But you can definitely get. We'll let the player get ridiculous. If they want to pick up a whole bunch of stuff, I mean, if they want to be a pack mule, and move really slow, they can do that.
Another thing that people noticed from the videos was that, for instance, weapons like a rifle drop on top of a dead body of a soldier.
Yeah.
Does that mean that actually there is a way that actually people can perhaps search dead bodies and stuff like that? We originally were going to put searching the dead bodies in. Yeah, we may still do that, but there with ragdoll physics, we've got a system that will keep the characters pretty close on the client and server compared to the old game where they were completely ragdoll was different on everyone, but it's not precise, so we're still kind of toying around with that if we want to do that. At this point, I can't say for sure. Smoke. In Red Orchestra, the original, smoke became a big issue because on different computers, smoke looked different. So, for instance, one person was hidden by the smoke, and then on the other person's screen, he wasn't hidden by the smoke. And if you watched a demo played on a local game, smoke was, for instance, more intense than than it really was in a game, which makes it really hard to see if someone is actually using, say, a wall hack, or is actually just seeing it regularly through the smoke. Other ways that some of those visuals, like for instance smoke and other things, get closer on every person's screen. So, like more replicated. I don't know if smoke can be replicated, but can things be done to make it closer on everybody's screen?
No.
Well,
that's the short answer. The long answer is people have different levels of machines, different levels of capabilities. Some people have high-end machines, some people have lower-end machines. You have to have some scalability within that. But also, you know, smoke has to be random. You can't have the smoke come the exact same way all the time on everybody's machine. It just wouldn't look right. So there's some different functionality in the engine now that we're looking at that the original engine didn't have. Creates like a very thick fog in your vision when you're in the radius of the smoke. So we're looking at some stuff like that. But as far as having every particle of smoke being the same on everyone's machine, that would it's just not feasible from a network standpoint.
You said earlier about you obviously need to make this game scalable for different sets of hardware.
Yeah.
But for instance, for some sort of clans or special leagues, sometimes you want a competition and just lock out of, because if you, for instance, can make a game set everything to the lowest to get better performance, you can easily see enemies, and there are sometimes special perks only happen with certain combinations of graphic settings, and for instance other ways for people later on to lock people out only, for instance, in private matches.
Lock people out for having lower settings?
For instance, or high settings, basically to force a certain setting on the player to gain a certain well, stable image that's the same on everybody's computer.
I mean, we could look at something like that. That's going to be pretty tricky, though. I mean, you're essentially going to have everyone in the clan have X machine or better to do that.
Well, perhaps it's not, but there are always, for instance, landing gaming or whatever that you sometimes can ask, especially if you're playing for prize money or whatever, that sometimes you can ask certain restrictions.
I mean, there's something we can look at.